damn roster. But Crow, it does feel as though there is a good opportunity here for Weibo to kickstart this. Remembering it is a simple best of one. That is all we have on the cards. It's a scary prospect, but we kickstart here on Chalet.
Thank you so much, Rob. And John, he's absolutely right. Waybo look fierce. Coming off that original Bleed roster, you know, they departed with Turd for a bit. They've got him back with Hoven and Reaps, this kind of like three-headed dragon. But now you add in Speakeasy, who has been a top fragger in the region for, what, 8-9 years? Forever, basically. Seemingly forever. And then Ape, one of the most frag-centric supports. I love Mentalist. I love Asfi. I loved watching those guys play, but this is a different level of firepower.
This could be a match more focused on the fundamentals of securing kills rather than pocket strats. You see a lot more of that on a best-of-3 environment where you're able to tailor what maps you want to play on, not because you're just good at them like Chalet for Shopify and Waybo, but also maps your opponents aren't the best at. So seeing how Waybo start with the aggressive playstyle Shopify like to establish with how well their fraggers are, both in the support role and the entry role, could be really interesting. And we have a very kill-centric objective for round number 1. Office and Master, you are almost always inclined to roam, either heavily extending by mezzanine or playing downstairs to stop Vert. And I think for this round, Shopify are doing a little bit of both, using the Azamian Castle to create really strong choke points. In Waybo, they've got plenty of clear to deal with that utility, and a Ying on Hoven.
Yeah, and Hoven on the Ying is something that he plays a lot domestically, even back with the old roster when Mentalist and Asfi were in the picture. He's a pretty mean Ying. Something else we got to talk about is, you know, as people who haven't casted Asia in a while, and for newer viewers, Reaps on Flores is a pretty new development. He used to be the guy on Ashe, the guy on Zoe, the guy who was going to walk in and kill 4 people or die first, and he's kind of evolved into this cut player playing Lion DMR, Flores, Nomad, and the role transition has actually been surprisingly smooth for him.
I feel like it's good to have someone formerly experienced in entry be on the cut. DMRs right now are really strong in the game. Having someone else who's consistent on the entry is really impactful, but the quick breach in from Waybo instantly shut down 3 kills back to back to back for Shopify. No more cut control, and the Ying of Hoven, he just gives up. That's case control forfeit as well on the site, Harrison.
Literally maybe a mistiming from Waybo, the push coming in before the Ying Candela's detonating. Reaps does get 1 back for his team. He's looking for the second, but misses the cross from Rexen. Instead, having to satisfy at 1 HP. Now a 2 versus 4. Hoven still on the roof, needs to duo with Reaps now soon. I think he's just holding the cut from slant through piano window, waiting for a cross as Reaps continues to try and creep up to this wall. He's got head holes to work with, but I bet SR, they're going to be ready for it. There's about a minute and a half, so there is plenty of time for Waybo to try and recollect themselves and decide how they want to push this and make a push happen. But a team like Shopify, I just don't see them giving them these freebies.
Shopify is a very disciplined team. They've got a good site structure right now in the final minute of this round. Good cross held between Spoin Canadian and Surf, still in piano behind Akiba. They don't have any utility left to deal with this. Reaps might have 1 Rotero drone the second that goes off. Shopify, I imagine they'll just try to aggro all 3 people, and now it's just 1 left in Ivy.
Looks like Rexen holding the long angle, takes the head off Reaps, and Shopify Rebellion with a dominant round number 1. I like the idea from Waybo, right? You're starting the game. This is a strong NA opponent. You want to set the pace, but again, I think just the mistiming with the Ying was the big problem there, and Shopify Rebellion obviously incredibly ready for that.
Seems like for Waybo, they were just trying to catch Shopify off their game, go for something explosive, go for something fast, get the early tempo, the early round win on Chalet attack, which is extremely impactful for this map. And Shopify were not caught off guard by it whatsoever. They were a lot more focused on just bunkering the site, you know, keeping good fundamentals of holding crosses, playing trades, and staying further back, making those Ying Candelas, I know it was mistimed, but making them not as impactful to take space because Shopify were kind of allowing for Waybo to enter in the site without full control, and it punished them quite heavily for doing something like that.
And then, like you mentioned, when it came to that 2v4, 1, Shopify weren't going to give them freebies because they're super disciplined. We saw the 3-way crossfire they were holding in piano. And 2, in order to get rid of that crossfire, you need those flashes, you need those Flores, and they had nothing.
Yep.
They were just dead in the water at that point. Now we're moving it around 2. We go into bar, Shopify Rebellion. I mean, I would call this a typical site rotation, but Chalet is one of those rare maps where every single bomb site is more than viable for the defense. Just some teams are better at basement, some teams are better at top floor, yada yada. We'll see how Shopify Rebellion decide to defend this. It looks like they're still kind of going in on these traps. I mean, we saw last round Frost, Fenrir. Now they're kind of doubling down with the Legion as well. Seeing that Weibo want to go fast, they're trying to slow them down as much as possible.
I like the Brava introduced. Dreadnought Mine already destroyed, and a default cam, giving you a lot of info for a library overtake. It's very common for teams to either focus on garage and walk up the back staircase to clear out stock, or to do just a generic library clear, dealing with the main task of the utility up above. Here comes Weibo now entering from top office off the Lion scan, but again, Shopify are prepared for the office over clear, and the Master Cut ineffective at dealing with the Oryx. If Ambi wants to, he could simply fall back, but he's wasting so much time here.
Again, it's one of 2 things from Weibo. Either Turd on the rappel was not ready for the rappel in from Speakeasy, or it's just bad drone work, and Hoven loses the swing to Rexen. Reap gets one, but Turd immediately falls to Spoit upstairs. Now a 2 versus 3 as Weibo somehow are keeping up in the trade department, but still, they're down a man, and all of Shopify Rebellion are perfectly satisfied with this roam. You kill the Lion and the Grim and the Brava. That's basically all of Weibo's information, and they're just going to fall back and wait now.
Habana right now, Ape, not having a lot of use for those X-Kairos charges. Those are used to help clear the extension above. Shopify get 2 opening picks, they fall off. Now the Habana is practically useless because these hatches are already opened up. You've now got Reaps with the gridlock trying to make Vert. This is taking so much time though. The hatch is closed, interestingly enough, inside of Library, so that might buy a little more time for Shopify in this round, but again, they're just playing back. That Surf still having all his toxic babes in his back pocket. They're forcing Weibo to waste their own time and then run into their crossfires in the site.
First gas canister coming out at about the 50-second mark. Pretty good timing. If you space those out, you can usually delay about 15 to 20 seconds each. Zape now goes to work on the hatches, just trying to create avenues, create angles for Shopify Rebellion to worry about, attempt to isolate the defender's sight lines. Now 30 seconds left as Reeves gathers some more information. He sees there's no one dining, but I don't know if they're going to be able to get a drone into the bomb site itself as you hear more of those Hibanas coming out. 25 seconds. It does, it denies bar stock, so that's 1 power position now cleared. And Spoit just rotates behind long bar. And it looks like both Reeves and Ape are going to try and double up on this door. In they come. They can hear it. Surf and Spoit shut it down. And Shopify are looking great through the first 2.
Ape's still getting some use out of his X-Kairos charges. I was actually pretty impressed by that, and I feel like you rarely see any team reinforcing those hatches up above, but it did give them a little bit more time and wiggle room. If you kill someone like the Habana as well, you can defend inside of Bar and Gaming a lot easier because of those hatches being a good sightline for the attack. But like you mentioned, you see the Habana breaching open stock, you rotate. There's not enough bodies and not enough time for someone to commit playing Vert, because in that 2v3, you have to play for trades. If your first entry dies there, then it's a 3v1 and you just lose. So trying to get that trade, trying to establish a 1v2 was the win condition. And with SR understanding that, they just played back and waited for them to walk into a choke point.
Yeah, I mean, obviously you see that the bar stock wall is getting open. Like I said, Legion is just going to reposition behind bar.
Right.
The game's window, I'm sure, is probably still closed, so you have that additional crossfire above the bar from back-end games, which is where I believe Surf was able to get the other kill as Smoke. And we've got a really early timeout from Weibo. Meepy calling it, seeing that the first 2 attacks started with really bad mistiming. First, pushing into Master before those Yings went off. Second, Speakeasy rappelling in before Turd was ready on the cut. BB wants to shut that down immediately.
I think that's a really good call in a best-of-1 environment. You don't have a lot of room to make mistakes. You have 2 rounds that look really choppy in the early game against a team like Shopify that aren't going to give you that second chance. They won't allow that second win to happen. You call for the timeout early, you get the mood reset, and you are able to tell your players, hey, we need to have better fundamentals on enabling our first entry, of using our utility in sync with someone hopping in the building. And if that person still dies, maybe have a buddy to help him play that more consistent trade. Especially on a map like Chalet, where cutoffs are such a staple. You could have someone play on highway window the entire round, and almost every bomb site, they will have impact just sitting there.
tertiary site now for Shopify Rebellion. I think the thing, too, about that last round, though, is it was a good sign from Weibo that despite that bad mistime of speakeasy repelling in, they still traded down to just a one-man disadvantage after losing that first couple picks. So Weibo, at least, their guns are waking up after round number 1. See how they tackle Dining as Shopify are now bringing another delay up. They've still got the 3 traps. Now they've got Echo swapping off of the smoke. I guess the Echo, I think you can technically define as a little bit more flexible because you can play those drones off-site. You can kind of active drone your roamers and then save one for that plant. Weibo now, finally, are going to bring that shield as kind of a stopgap for these missed timings. Just shove the shield in these far roamers' faces because so far Shopify Rebellion, they've been roaming pretty heavy.
This might allow them to spend less time getting info with the drones. Again, Monty kind of considered that human or that human drone as the shield, obviously. We've got Turd maybe going in on a lurk here through Mudroom, detected by the goo mine. He'll be forced back. Reloading. So far, Shopify just kind of playing their spots, waiting for Weibo to enter into the building. Someone is by blue stairs, I think, and that might have been Spoit, now dead from Reaps, already playing back from there. No, it was actually Rexon, my mistake, but still a much better start here for Weibo. And now having the shield up in a 5 versus 4, it makes that lack of a weapon a little less of a vulnerability here now that Shopify have lost a player.
Something Bleed used to be really good at, too. And it's something that a lot of teams do, is once they get that opening pick, they tend to speed up drastically in that advantage. And here comes the Monty up fireplace stairs. Ambi is stuck between a rock and a hard place, quite literally. Surf is good for one, though, as he swings out from Master. Rexon up blue stairs gets another. And what was a 2-man advantage for Shopify, thanks to the efforts of Rexon and Surf, is now even man count.
The question is, how are Weibo going to recover? They had such a good advantage, and I loved the clear using the Montaigne to walk up Mez. Still plenty of time here for Weibo. They're gathering a lot of vital info, but Shopify have just as good amount of info as their opponents do. Still having the yokai, someone who's dead can watch that and give a lot of good info. Canadian could even use the stun blast, allow Rexon to swing despite being low HP. That could give him a huge advantage in any fight. And on top of that, Harrison, they still have vertical control. If Weibo decide to plant here, that could be a huge mistake capitalized on by Shopify, basically playing a 2v1 retake while someone's planting.
And Rexon's staring at it, plus the fact that there's no hard breach, so they know exactly where they have to come from. But Rexon reveals his position, and Reaps gets a third. In comes the Echo from Canadian. Reaps is getting this bomb down. Is it going to be in time? No! Reaps completes it. 1 versus 2 for Canadian. We mentioned in the pre-show how good he can be in the clutch. He's got pings on one player behind the dining table. He knows Reaps is there, but as he peeks up, it's 4 for Reaps, and Weibo are on the board.
And again, that timeout immediately paying off for Weibo, as despite there being vert against them, despite there being a yokai, they still commit to entering in. Reaps instantly shutting down the vert. That's Rexon gone. Canadian forced to get on his yokai, buying them time to stick that plant. And unfortunately for Canadian, he was just half a second too late. But there was still so much time there for Weibo. Yeah. Like you mentioned, with them getting the early entry, that allowed them to be more comfortable with getting in the building, with setting up that Montaigne, having the cross play between Library and the back staircase. So they had time to just get off a plant, shoot that yokai, and probably give Canadian a run for his money in that 1v2 like we saw already.
And the game-changing kill was Reaps up through the floor. Rexon,
that was so nasty,
single-handedly could have shut down that and given Shopify a 3-0 lead, but revealing his position, maybe a little bit early, maybe just missing a couple shots on Turd, but either way, he couldn't even see Reaps. That was a floor bang. What a reaction from Reaps. I mean, and that's what he's known for. 4 kills on Sledge. He's heating up. And Weibo are on the board after a much, well, I say much better looking round, but it got really dicey because Surf at the perfect moment. Again, Shopify's coordination, the flank up blue, the flank through Master at the same exact time, trading out 3 for 3. So we go back to Master. It seems like Shopify, at least for now, are kind of avoiding the basement here. And they're bringing a very different look. This time, instead of the mute they had in round 1, they're bringing that Mira. So they've got the extra information. They're not really worried about denying Weibo's drones. They're just bringing that extra information for themselves and forcing Weibo to problem solve. You know, when you've got that Mira deep in the site, just staring right at Piano, what do? You can't just Hibana it or ace it because someone can just sit close in the corner and shoot it out. Do you rotate Solar? Do you commit to a full wall take? I mean, they've got the Monty. They can do that. They've also got Capita, so they've got the tools.
I think as well, noticing that Weibo are bringing in the Montaigne, that's more of an info-focused operator. The Mute Jammer cannot deny that, only drones, obviously. So they just don't feel it necessary. Instead, they're emphasizing more on bringing out stuff like the Lesion, like the Frost, just trying to keep that Montaigne or anyone hopping in a window at a safe distance so they keep that map control for longer. And maybe Weibo noticed that because now they've got Turd playing the Deimos and they've got Reaps on the Twitch. Like you mentioned, plenty of counter utility being distributed here by Weibo. And look at the map control. Speakeasy already up blue stairs. They know about Owl. They could easily use a Capital Bolt or the shield to push back Surf.
Obviously, Speakeasy just staring at him, calling out his position. Surf desperately trying to deny the X-Kairos, but he can't land the shots. The master door going to be opened up. Weibo now with easier access into master, no longer having to open the wall. They get a longer angle through that door from the rappel too. The problem of Surf persists though. Speakeasy very obviously cannot just drop the shield and take the fight. I mean, he did it once, didn't even ADS, and gets taken down to half HP. He almost kills Surf on the Azami's retreat out of bathroom. But Surf persists as well, and Speakeasy is looking to enter the bomb site.
Great job clearing out the Azami with the help of Turd below. The info and the vert pressure forcing away Surf on low HP. A lot of damage dealt here by Weibo. And like you mentioned, the attack they're setting up for this plant, the run out attempted, but Reaps with great coverage shuts down Ambi. Surf gone as well. There's practically no utility left to stop this plant and barely any bodies to withstand Weibo's force. Up through Solar, great shot by Ape. Leaving just Spoik now 1v5. Looks like he'll try to isolate the player over from Highway. Maybe looking to hop out here. Good shot landed, but still such an uphill battle to climb from. You've got the cutoff, you've got the Capitao, you've got the Montaigne just narrowly trying to finish off this plant. He'll evade the Capitao bolt, but not Turd being gun up. Weibo tie us.
Being able to force back Surf like that with really no additional utility, just the Monty working up, gave them so much space to work with. They open up those angles. They force Canadian out of the closet, off of the Mira with that Capitao, and all the dominoes fall for Shopify Rebellion. They're forced to take these fights against Weibo, who are already set up on these window repels. Surf tries to re-engage with Speakeasy on 1 HP. He's one tap to the pistol, and Weibo with a beautiful cleanup. That timeout is working wonders right now.
Absolutely. Going now into round number 5, I'm really interested in seeing what bomb site Shopify end up picking. You mentioned the lack of basement floor right now for them. They'll be going back into bar. It was the Fenrir ban and Brava off the board as well between Shopify and Weibo respectively. Maybe, I would say maybe further down the line we'd see something like a Maestro, but there's only 2 rounds left, so potentially not. Weibo did struggle initially with that early round entry and trying to get into the building, but again, the Montaigne has been such a fix to help with that problem, and Shopify, now they've got Ambi back on the Oryx, there is still a lot of emphasis on trying to bring some sort of trap utility to slow down the Montaigne, but I wonder if they will change positionally as well to help deal with Speakeasy in this early round.
I'm actually really surprised that, you know, as soon as Weibo started playing the Monty, they won 2 rounds in a row. I'm really surprised Shopify didn't emphasize banning him rather than Brava, who, yes, Brava is an incredible operator on Chalet, again, because not only do you hack important defender utility like Malusi's, like Canadians trying to bring, you know, if, well, Fenrir's banned now, but if Fenrir would continue to be played, if you want to play Maestro, Brava's really good, but also just those default cams. You basically don't need to have flank drones if you get a Brava in the building and you hack all those defaults. Shopify Rebellion still trying to lean into this delay utility, still rocking the traps, and now bringing the Banshees from the Malusi too. But with Weibo relying on this Monty so much, it's not really going to do anything to him. He's still going to continue walking. However, Ambi getting aggressive, picks off Ape, but there's yet another trade. Weibo in these past couple rounds not letting Shopify run away with the lead, taking down Spoit. That's a Lesion dead pretty early on.
Still the Bravas and Toxic Babes to worry about for Speakeasy, but the Goo Mines, that was the biggest threat by far. Over a minute burned away. Weibo some good map control, and again, still having the Montaigne is going to probably force Shopify to respect this office overtake. Now with the info building up, Reaps on the cutoff. We talked about him being so impactful on this new roll off of entry. Once again, Ambi eliminated, and now the man advantage swings the way of Weibo. Shopify just currently backing up. Maybe they'll try to bait Weibo into overcommitting to this clear, but in the meantime, it just seems like the tempo of Weibo has been so spot on.
Here comes the gas canisters now to try and delay Speakeasy for as long as possible, but Surf has already expended 2. He's going to try and fight the window, but doesn't land the shots on Reeps. In fact, dies for it as Reeps jumps into the building while Surf attempts to retreat down blue. Now a 4 versus 2, double the man count for Weibo. Canadian maybe looking to flank up blue as Rexon plays in games, but Hoven's got pings on Canadian. Malusi now forced to fall back a little bit. Rexon actually backing up all the way to Dining, trying to play the long angles here, but the Monty spots him. He's going to be forced back to the site. Weibo have corralled these last 2 members in. Reeps, 3 kills. Can he get another 4K? 2 and 1/2 as Canadians, all that's left. Almost spotted by the Grims. Here comes Hoven. The Deimos gets on the board, and Weibo now take the lead.
You could really feel the pressure there for Shopify building up during the round. They were trying to get aggressive. They were trying to get dirty against Weibo, and they were prepared for it. They just did not move. Speakeasy was baiting the utility with those toxic babes. You saw Surf trying to get aggressive on the Ivy cutoff, and Reeps was just a turret. Bro did not move. He waited for him to try to push forward. And once Surf was forced to back away, he hops in. He doubles down on the aggression. The Vert as well, solidifying that 3K. The consistency from Weibo after that timeout has been spot on. And I am a little shocked that Shopify have not changed a whole lot. I understand it's the first game of the event. You don't want to reveal too much of your strats, but I feel like it's also such a big risk losing your first best of 1 and already being in that elimination bracket.
Yeah, last time that these 2, I say 2 teams played, but it was really just Rexon when he was back on the Sonics.
So long ago.
I think it was, what, the Manchester Major, I believe. Back when they were Bleed, they won 7-3. So at least Rexon has experience against this roster, and Weibo, it's looking like it might go that way so far. I don't know if during that timeout, Meepy like casted a spell or like put a hex on Shopify or something. Something magical was said, because Weibo have looked like a completely different team since that timeout, and I think it's all because of that Monty. The Monty is just so much easier to work behind and time than just trying to like 3-2-1 with a Capitao and a cutoff or something like that. The Monty has been so good, and again, I question Shopify. Yes, Brava is incredibly good on Chalet, but Weibo have looked like a different team since taking the Monty. Why would you not want to take that away and force them to go back to what they were doing at the beginning of the match?
Yeah, Brava was not winning Weibo any rounds compared to the Monty, but off of that subject, you once again have the Deimos for this below pressure. There is at least Spoit playing down below by Gaming, so he could flank later on if given the intel by his team. It wasn't even the Capitao or anyone off of Speakeasy to clear out the Azami extending by Bathroom. It was just the Vert from below. So yeah, Spoit now setting up in the basement, can maybe walk up West Main, get that 1-for-1. That would be a huge pick for Shopify. But speak of the devil, the defense, they're now realizing it's almost the exact same take attempted by Weibo. And some of those players from Mez now rotating as well to try to help assist this execute.
And I believe it's a read from Shopify too, because that's why they brought the Jaeger, who can now counter that Capitao.
Yeah, exactly.
So Hoven's going to have a much harder time of clearing Canadian out of that closet.
Wow.
And Surf decks Speakeasy. The Monty attempts to take a fight all by his lonesome, loses out. Yes, there's a trade from Turd below on that Deimos, but for the first time since that timeout, Monty's tried to make a hero play by himself, and Weibo fully punished Spoit with yet another kill for Shopify Rebellion. And Weibo are looking for him, but popping that fire extinguisher and the C4 to support. Still a man advantage now for Shopify.
I don't think Spoit heard the hop in there from Hoven. Great job. Good with the communication, both by Weibo and Shopify. Spoit calling for help. Canadian rips that C4, giving him some room to breathe. And on top of that, Hoven as well coming down below, assisting the Deimos and keeping this round close. It is a 2 versus 3 yet again. There are still Miras in play, but Hoven having the Capitao could create a lot of space in this round. The big question is, if they're able to get into sight, where would they want to plant from? Behind the bed, possibly? But Canadians playing close and master, and if they don't know that, this could be a huge position for the Mira to hold.
Canadian actually just walked up Owl, maybe thinking about shooting those X-Kairos off the castle, but then saw it was impossible. Decided to back off. Hoven maybe looking for a timing play with Ape. It's down goes the castle barricade. You could see Ape wanting to swing aggressively, but no one exposes themselves. Reloading. Now Hoven looking to join Ape upstairs as they duo in. In comes the smoke, trying to cover for Ape as he sneaks his way in. Maybe in a position to plant, but he works up on the mirror instead, loses the fight to Rexen. Hoven's the last man standing, and there's just no time for him to do anything. Shopify recover, stop the streak, and tie the half.
Great adaptation as well by Shopify. Surf being a lot more aggressive, noticing how there was help for the Montaigne, but not directly, just the vert pressure below from Turd. And what do you do to also assist on top of that? You send Spoit on the flank up West Main, realizing that Deimos is isolated. That was the perfect adjustment to kill the win condition and to kill one of the more consistent gunners on the team as well. I know Turd's a little quiet right now, but in the right positions, he can bring out those crutch shots. He can bring out those X-factor plays, and keeping him alive on Deimos could have made a lot of space for that site execute. So it's a good thing they dealt with that early and then just played back. Play with the structure, have those crossfires, wait for Weibo to get uncomfortable, force a plant, or force them to push into your extension.
I think it's also really funny now that we're on the new half. Weibo immediately remove the Monty from the board. What they just did to Shopify, they do not want that done to them. Grim, the follow-up ban, an incredibly important information op, especially when you're going for those games window executes, when you're going for library clears, when you're going for solar takes. Grim is so useful on this map because it's so small. Those bees find tons of value. And I like Weibo's strategy here, trying to just pick away at the information for Shopify, because we know Weibo, they love to play aggressive. They love to play not just aggressive, that's a very general term. They love to play that entry denial style of aggression. They love to meet you at the door, play rat, double up out, like on roamers onto the attack, and take fights. So the more information you can pick off, the worse for where Shopify are going to be trying to enter the building.
First site in play for Weibo is going to end up being Bar. I like the pick of the Warden as well, you know. It's a Ying available. It's not banned this time. Wasn't even banned last round, interestingly enough. It just didn't work for Weibo back in round number 1. Understanding that that could be an operator played here. Rexen now switching to her, funnily enough. They're going to have the Warden in play to help deal with that, and the Wamai as well, just to burn through any extra utility. I feel like overall, because of the Jaeger changes, we've seen him played a lot more in comparison to Wamai, but sometimes it is a little better to have those magnets in pocket so you can be a bit more flexible with where you want your utility to go. On a big fall-off objective like Bar and Gaming, where you start library and attempt to go back down below, the Wamai could be a little more effective for that.
Rexen on a very early cut. Shopify Rebellion moving quickly, already setting up these angles on the windows. They've got plenty of utility to work with, because not only are they bringing that Ying, but in addition to the Candelas, they're bringing the Lion for lockdown. They're bringing the Capitao to make space. They start on opposite, trying to go for a full map clear against Weibo, who are playing a little bit more passive than I think I expected. They've got the Mirror down on site. You got an upstairs extension, but no one's really far afield except for Reaps, who just narrowly evades the shots from Slant. And now you can continue to set up an Ivy with all his Wamai discs. Shopify Rebellion maybe narrowly missing out on an early advantage here, but they continue to drone in, and with Reaps falling back, this whole side of the map is theirs.
Shopify now noticing that off of a drone done by Spoit. He's got the nades and flashes, so he could theoretically clear this blue shield by himself, whilst Ambi potentially holds the flank. Noticing a lack of player presence from the trophy side of the map, he might be more aggressive with challenging this Mira. I'm really hoping that Shopify just don't save all their Candelas in terms of just the site pressure. I hope they use these Candelas and Capitao bolts to make space and not just prioritize on Spoit's frag grenades. Here comes the Lion scan, the Magnet catching one puck of utility, and instantly Weibo fall off, not wanting to lose their life to this clear up above, hoping they have more bodies to either flank or just hold site crossfires.
I think maybe falling off a little bit early, though. A whole minute left for Shopify to work with, but it is a 5 versus 5. The most important thing here for Weibo is that they have reserved their numbers. Shopify still not sure if there's anyone upstairs by library. No one's thrown a drone in towards mezzanine. They think there's still somebody here, and they've been wasting utility. You saw Spoit use a flash in his last nade, I believe, trying to clear that shield. Finally, they worked their way in. Bulletproof top blue now gone, so Weibo a little bit more blind.
40 seconds left. Spoit now lurking down blue off the dead information. C4 comes out, but it's a dud. Rexen still up above, setting up these Yin Candelas. Will they try to have Canadian commit to this plant? There's just so many bodies left to challenge this, and a Nitro Cell with the Warden up as well, Harrison. These Yin Candelas might not make as much space as Shopify need them to.
Trying to fuse them through the floor, but again, Turd has those glasses active. He can see through those smokes as well. 15 seconds left as Ambi with the opening pick to give his team the advantage in the dying seconds of the round. A follow-up from Spoid as they look to take in, but they're still not in the objective. It's just Canadian. He dies with the case. 5 seconds left. They've either got to go for the kill, someone's got to recover. The nade kills one. Running back, they don't know Speakeasy's doubled up with the Warden. Waybo steal the round.
And Shopify, the miscommunication. You saw both Spoy and the Lion running to hunt down those kills from stock. No one went to recover case. It's like I mentioned, they just did not have enough time to close that gap and get Canadian in. The Warden not being respected enough there. Turd and Speakeasy still alive by stock. I don't know if Canadian ran in from bottom blue or if he went through the site window, but either way, yeah, I was going to say that is the much safer call, but not having anyone either on the hatch or playing close on the door to cover him, not having that 50-50 gunfight guaranteed is such an upset there, because other than missing the chance of planting that diffuser, everything else went well for Shopify. They instantly found 2 openings off the vert, off the execute. But all that Weibo had to do was just sit back because they burned so much time in the early round.
Yeah, it really looked like Shopify were about to turn things around. I mean, like you said, they had the 2 opening picks. Not only, I mean, yeah, you lose case, but both players are stuck in bar stock. I thought that nade was about to win the round, too, because it killed the Warden. It left the mirror on 1 HP or didn't hit her at all, and just not expecting there to be 2 guys chilling in bar stock with 5 seconds left. I mean, because at the same time, can you blame them for not expecting that? Who the hell would do that in a position like that? But it works out for Weibo. It's those little things. And in a best, I mean, we talked about it, right? In a best of 1, it's so important to get these little clutch rounds, because it's not like the other team has time to adjust. They don't have 2 more maps to recover. Each of those little, you know, micro plays, those rat plays that just get you 1 more kill to win the round, that can change the whole landscape of the map.
An example of that, I mean, it took Shopify 3 rounds in a row to adapt against the Montaigne that Weibo just kept winning round after round on, hence why they're probably the ones who wanted to ban it on their defensive side. Reap's now looking to adjust, maybe getting some early intel by the library side of the map. It's Office in defense for Weibo. Deimos also being picked up here by Shopify in comparison to Weibo doing the same thing. They've got a lot of info early round on the below presence, there being a lack of it, besides Hoven also lurking by Gaiman on the Legion. I'm wondering if they're going to do almost an identical take, because the only difference here, Harrison, is just a lack of Montaigne. Instead, Ambi is on the gridlock for that flank watch. So maybe they'll just be more gun up when trying to clear out the blue and owl side of the map.
I'm actually surprised. I'm just now realizing that Shopify Rebellion also never ran the Valkyrie, despite her being up and despite this being one of her strongest maps. Reeves just throws a camera straight at Ambi, and of course gets shot immediately. It sounds like a C4 just went off and it misses. That was probably Reeves trying to act off that camera, and he ends up dying to Surf. A follow-up on a Speakeasy as he simply swings the player on the big window cut, and now Shopify, by the graces of Weibo just peeking and Shopify being ready for it, have a 2-man lead and so much time left.
I think Weibo didn't want to have history repeat itself like round 7, where they just get stuck in sight in a 5-on-5. They try to hunt for picks mid-round, punished by Shopify's patience. Now they double down, Surf, another great shot on this cutoff. Hoven eliminated. Turd with the run out, but just missed time. He's unable to get this cutoff kill. Ape will try to push forward. He'll meet the same fate as the rest of his teammates, now leaving Turd basically in a 1 versus 5. Nice shot landed on a Rexen, but Ambi is there waiting. I think a buddy ace for the 2. Both Gridlock and Lion having so much impact, just sitting and waiting for Weibo to peek into their crosses, into their cutoffs across the map. Dude, I think the Lion was all the way in the back of like the library rappel. I think he was holding that down like a turret.
I mean, it's the window cutoffs are just so strong here, and before eventually rotating to that master double window, it's just the power of the master cut. It cleaves those sights in half. It's like you're like a bishop sitting in the corner of the chessboard just waiting for someone to step on the wrong square, basically. And that's why so many teams, when you pick master, are almost forced to bring Castle, because if you want to play fluid through those two sites, if the other team brings enough utility to force you back from Master and you give them Solar, you need that stopgap. You need something to block off that sight line. Weibo's workaround was trying to play a little bit below with Reaps there, but he immediately got hunted down, and Shopify had full reign of that side of the map. Now, for the first time this game, we're seeing Snowmobile. Seems like Weibo not shying away from the basement site. Or am I tripping? Is it Dining Kitchen? I think it's Dining Kitchen. It is Dining Kitchen.
Dude, I crossed out my notes. It's like, wait, hold on. I'll just write a new one.
I actually just rage baited you. That was all part of the plan.
How could you do this to me? I know we have given a lot of credit to Waybo just on how they're playing, but keeping it close against Shopify as a whole has been incredible. I almost thought we'd see something like a 7-3 off the first best of one, but Waybo have adjusted so well against Shopify's play style. Now they've got the Clash. Shopify, they've got the Nomad to maybe help deal with this, but that's kind of it. They have one set of grenades that they're probably going to use to break something like a deployable shield, maybe force back a power position, not necessarily dealing with the Clash. This could be a huge headache in the late round because Shopify have been fairly slow on Chalet. Going back to round 7, it took them until almost the final 20 seconds to hit the go button in sight. If not for those first two opening picks they solidified, that could have been a much easier round win for Waybo. Yeah, it's Waybo kind of trying to do what Shopify were attempting to lean into, where they were seeing Waybo being slow, trying to lean into those traps, those delay ops like Malusi and Fenrir and Legion and Mira, etc. Now Waybo are seeing Shopify also being slow. Shopify not bringing the Monty because it's banned, obviously. I think Waybo may have thought there was about to be a shield being brought out, and that's why the Clash is coming through. But either way, even without the shield being played from Shopify, Clash still incredibly useful against a slow team. And like you mentioned, against a team that really the only hard counter is that Nomad. Shopify Rebellion, though, they do have plenty of smoke presence and plenty of sight denial with those Yings. And I'm itching to see what Surf does with this Glass. He finds a slim angle, and already the Clash might not be something to worry about as Canadian picks up Ape. Immediately refragged by Speakeasy to keep the man count even, but Turd is still on the ground. Mirror window gets open as Rexen picks off one surface. Stewie 2K'ing through the smoke, and out of nowhere, it's all on Speakeasy. 1 versus 3 as he ascends the blue stairs to come back to sight. Surf is the man with the case. Spoik getting finished off, and Rexen is right there waiting, baiting his down teammate and giving Shopify the lead. And Rexen typing lol in chat. I mean, how does Surf get up the back stairs for free? I don't know if he rappelled in from top solar or just walked in from trophy, but either way, nobody was aware on Waybo. And the most important operator he could have found and injured to help his team speed up the main take was the Clash, and that's the person who he ended up injuring in that position, and then finding another kill off of that as well. Such good value there by Shopify. Funnily enough, Glaz had the diffuser, so maybe they were hoping that they could have gotten into sight much faster by dining, getting Glaz on the plant, and then playing a post on that trophy cutter just somewhere outside in general. And instead maybe noticing a gap of, hey, there's no utility up blue, I'm gonna just flank this.
Yeah.
Like, maybe that's what they noticed, and it paid off so well. That was a Warden and Ying ban we just saw, Jim Harrison, for a second. That is crazy.
Yeah, the Warden ban I think is really smart from Shopify, seeing that, you know, even with the Clash being brought, the Ying was useful, but even more so the Glaz was useful. I think Waybo chose wrong between Ying and Glaz. Glaz was much more effective in making that space with the 4 smokes. He had the help from the Twitch. He got 3 kills. And now without Warden, how do you fight back against a Glaz? Even if Shopify don't bring the Glaz, if you see a smoke, you got to get the hell out. You don't know if there's a Glaz playing behind that. It completely shuts down the angle thanks to that phantom pressure. And Shopify are, in fact, going to bring the Glaz. And now with no Warden, they can support that Glaz with Capitao smokes and Canadian bringing out the blitz.
I did feel like it took a while for Shopify to bring out the shield. Canadian's been a very consistent and vocal player on this team. I think we talked about that on the desk, Harrison, that even if Canadian has a bad day, statistically speaking, like he's not getting a lot of kills, if he dies early or is just up on the shield, he can provide so much with setting up the attack, setting up the execute, enabling his frag players to do their job. And everybody on this roster is performing well. Rexen 8 kills, Ambi 6, Surf 10 and 4, and Spoik and Canadian are playing so consistent as well, and they're going for an immediate plant. Surf sticking this. They've got space with the Capital Fire and the smokes. Because of that Warden, Waybo have to respect this post plant.
And now everybody gets the hell out. You lose Canadian, but his job is done. The rest of Shopify can just sit outside and wait. There's another smoke from Surf. Rex can get a little bit aggressive off of it. He sees the back of the Jaeger, can't land a single shot. But still, the time is being wasted. Hoven does end up picking up Ambi. There's a second kill now. It's twice the man count for Weibo. Can they just force this? No! 3 kills unanswered from Shopify. There's another one from the Jaeger, but the 2 remaining players shut down the round, killing every single aggressive defender.
Being prepared for the swings, the Capital and Glass falling back, waiting for them to hop out. Great space made not only by the utility of the smoke grenades, of the Capital firebolts, but also Canadian sacrificing his life there. I think he tried to fully clear out the stock side of the map, just pushing away the defense so no one can swing out. You commit that plant, and now it's basically unwinnable for Weibo without hopping out of the building, giving that information to Shopify so they can sit back, win those gunfights. They've got the lead back, but this round and this match is still so close. It's only a 5-4 advantage.
6-4.
It is 6-4? It is match point now?
Yeah. Because they took the lead on, they took the lead on round 9.
Oh, you're right. That's true. By the incredible Surf Lurk. How could I forget?
Of course. That's what Surf does best.
I didn't forget, I just don't know how to count. Big surprise.
and again, I think it comes back to Weibo really choosing wrong there. Again, the glass was so impactful in round 9. Ying, Candelas are annoying. Surf just snuck through the entire bomb site and got 3 kills. And once again, the only reason why Shopify are able to go for that is because they have glass. And you have to, like you said, you have to respect the smokes. Even if there's no glass played, you don't know if he's there, you have to respect it.
It's really funny, too. I think EML and NA love to just have a Glaz be the first entry and just run through his own smoke. So it's not something out of the wheelhouse. This is something we've seen consistently in regional play, and it's something Weibo might even be prepared for, given the fact that APAC is also a fairly aggressive team. Speaking of that aggression, Reaps and Hoven close by this entry window from gaming, hearing that repel. Hoven really wants to hop out here, but doesn't have any info to work off of, and Spoy already at the safety of the roof. I think Weibo are just trying to get desperate, Harrison. They do not want Shopify to set up with all this post-round utility, but there's so much info at the disposal of Shopify. You've got the Lion and Dokkaebi as the 2 obvious operators here, but Canadian, once again, on the shield, the mobile drone. There's just so much they can do, and they've cleared out the entirety of this top floor with still a minute to go, and I think they've realized almost everyone's in the basement now.
Yeah, and on the Blackbeard, too, such an oppressive shield. At least no one on this roster is bringing smokes, so I guess Weibo don't have to worry about that. But I think you're right. Weibo look like they're playing desperately. They're kind of bringing out that entry denial style of aggression that we talked about that they used to do. And I agree. I think they're just trying to make sure that Shopify can't set up for these executes. Weibo have not done anything to disrupt the plan from Shopify. They have been... I mean, last round was a rush, yeah, but the 2 rounds prior, Shopify have been allowed to do whatever the hell they want, set up perfectly, and go for these glass pushes. There's nothing on the wall, despite having a Cade. I think maybe it got EMP'd, but very early on, with still over a minute left, red wall is getting opened, and Shopify have site intel.
No EMPs, but I think they naded it. Final minute of the round, you've got some presence by Connector. Rexon could just throw 1 flash, that gets someone into sight. Instead, it's the grenade by Canadian. Goes off, no util detected, but the Logi Bomb, that rally call, allowing the shield to hop in. Surf's got the entry, holding this cut. And now there's nothing left to stop this plant from going down besides raw aggression from Weibo.
Oh, but no, you're wrong! A C4 from Ape from downtown denies the plant. Now Rexon stuck outside red. Reeves doesn't have to peek this anymore. He can continue trying to contest the long angle, but Rexon, he works his way in. 3v4, Reeves trying to cross with the pistol, does so successfully, but loses the fight as Rexon lifts off the plant. Now it's an even man count, but he doesn't expect Turd to just be prone around Pillar. The Vigil 1 HP, Ambi's got to go for the fight. They trade, but the Legion's still up and Weibo stay alive.
The Nitro Cell, the Hail Mary for Weibo. One more chance at overtime. I can't believe I've missed that. But other than the C4, it was pure desperation by Weibo to fight back, challenging the cutoff, challenging the planter. It forced Shopify out of their win condition of having that post-plant position with the Blackbeard up. That was the most impactful kill they could have had the entire round. Once Canadian is gone, they have a lot less space with that shield. Someone else has to get off the angle they're holding to stick that plant. And crossing around the cutoff as well, almost guaranteeing the round as a win for Weibo. Got a little more dicey, but good passivity there towards the end once they were able to get back the man advantage.
Yeah, and I think we need to highlight that play from Reeves, because even though he doesn't get the kill, like you said, he forces that guy off the plant. If Reeves doesn't run out, kill or not, Dokevi just sticks it, and they've got the long angles to play with. They just lose. Huge play from Reeves, despite dying. Again, goes to show, what's our favorite phrase, kills aren't everything. Reeves dies there, but he potentially saves the round and creates that opportunity for Turtsta to work up and get those couple picks with the Vigil. Now, 1 round away from overtime is Weibo select bar, but this is where Shopify went for the rush. We've got the Blitz Gridlock Glass in play again.
This was basically what kind of threw Weibo's head on a swivel and forced them to ban one of the 2 power ops of either Ying or Glaz. Maybe the Glaz could have been the better option like you talked about, but Ying is still a very powerful op nonetheless. It'll be nice to not have that in play still for Weibo as they get closer and closer to overtime. Seems to be almost an identical take by Shopify, maybe trying to threaten that early trophy side clear. Solar as well, Canadian. Maybe looking just to readjust. I thought he was going to try to hop in the building here, but I'm like, that makes no sense. That makes no sense with the shield. Yeah, they've got the cutoffs early once again. Maybe Weibo just trying to play more passive. You saw 2 rounds now where they're able to fall off of their roam, keep all 5 bodies up. That's when they've been successful on the defense. Maybe now realizing that, they just get aggressive to break some drones, waste some time, which there are now only 5 drones in total, and then they just play sight where Shopify have struggled a lot more converting the execute into a post plant.
It's interesting that Shopify go back to the full map clear that Weibo played against pretty well up until the execute, because, I mean, lest we forget, Weibo did win that round, but they probably shouldn't have, as Reeps goes down very early on the Mozzie, turned with an immediate response, and Ape is there too. Weibo now with the man advantage. The shield gets weaker with every player you pick off behind him, but Surf still on that all-powerful Glass as the player tries to run away, but turns his back to the shield, and that's when Canadian is most dangerous.
Tied man count for Weibo and Shopify. Ambi now low on HP, but again, you still have the Glaz, you still have 1 smoke left, potentially in this round, held by the IGL of Shopify. They've got so much time to work with as well. They're being disciplined, they're gaining info, looking to see who they could punish here. It looks like the player by top meds could be stuck because they've got the Glaz on the cutoff. Great aggression by Surf, forcing back Ape and killing him outright. Now it's a 3 versus 2, and this blitz has become 10 times more powerful against Weibo.
Especially Frost and Wamai, you don't really have a lot to deal with it. Canadian's feet getting lit up, and there's Ambi for the assist, leaving it all on the shoulders of Hoven, spotted by the blitz. He's got to fall back. Back to site he goes. Both attackers now supporting their shield player in IGL. As Canadian looks to direct this push, he's on 1 HP. Vert being created, making Hoven uncomfortable. You can see he has no idea where to sit. Constantly repositioning, trying to wallbang, lights up Surf, but broadcasts his position in the process. And Shopify prevent the comeback from Weibo. 7-5, and NA is on top in the first game.
A great try by Weibo. Nonetheless, it was